skill industries. That should have been the focus.
Well, I've always
So
believed that. Yeah, apologies.
sorry?
I've always believed that Nigerians need to set a proper standard with which they rate the performance of governance. But
Exactly.
a
That's the point
majority
I'm
of
making.
Nigerians
Like
do not
if
have those standards, and that's why we applaud. You're talking infrastructure now. It's mostly roads and bridges. They applaud those things, which really should be there in the first place. You know.
exactly.
But I want to, talk, a little bit more about the National Assembly now. Of course, it's currently led by Senate President Godswill Akpabio. We've seen, bits and pieces here and there that maybe just, shed some light on what type of National Assembly we're expected to see with the 10th Assembly. And so when you look through the screening process and you look at the persons who were nominated and the types of, questions that they were asked, during their screening, what does this tell you about what the 10th National Assembly would be like? And, if it will be a National Assembly that represents the Nigerian people?
No, it's going to be a compromised National Assembly. I see it as an extension of the executive arm. It ought to be named Ministry of Lawmaking, because from what we have seen so far, the leadership of the Senate definitely will couture. On the issue of what's it called, Rufai, I strongly believe that the presidency probably has a hand in the suspension. Otherwise, if you look at Keyamo, why did the Senate president run to Aso Rock? If you're screening, you don't need interference from the executive arm. Why would the Senate president run to Aso Rock, dash back and clear Keyamo? That is within their purview. The issue of running to the executive arm to get clearance or confirmation is an incursion. It's an aberration. That shouldn't be expected. So that alone will tell you the kind of National Assembly we're going to have. It's going to be an extension of the Lawan National Assembly. These people are not there representing the interests of the people. They are there representing themselves. If you also listen to the Senate president recently when he talked of the mailboxes and so on, when he was cautioned, he said, okay, prayer sent to your mailbox. That is the God of Jesus we are going to have in this country. Now prayers are going to be sent to your mailbox. They are talking of their money. So they are just there in their own interest and not in the interest of Nigerians. That is the fact about it. We have seen it. The Senate president has always aligned himself with the executive. Look, he has defended almost all the policies of Bola Ahmed Tinubu, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Almost all. Even when those policies are antithetical to the process, economic growth and so on. He didn't bother. The mere fact that it came from the president, he defended what you cannot even defend is being defended by the Senate president. So as far as I'm concerned, this is going to just be a lame duck Senate. I don't really know the House of Reps, but the Senate is going to be a lame duck Senate. It's going to be an extension of the executive arm.
I'm hoping that before the end of this conversation, we can maybe call for the video that has got everyone talking. But I'd like you to speak a little more about the video which has sparked controversy. You've talked about the fact that Akpabio saying what he said is a reflection of what the Senate or what the National Assembly this season or the next 4 years is going to look like. What exactly should or will be done about what was discovered? The people of Nigeria are suffering. The cost of living has skyrocketed. The naira is crashing, is pushing 1,000 naira to the dollar. And yet there is a conversation, supposed conversation about senators receiving money to enjoy their holiday, or in other words, receiving prayers from the Senate president. Let's talk about what exactly may be done. Is this something that Nigerians are just going to complain about on social media, that we swept off under the carpet, and nothing is being done about it? At what point will the National Assembly maybe take accountability in terms of understanding that they also have a role to play in cutting the cost of governance and ensuring that they bear the burden, that they suffer in some measure, like the Nigerians are suffering?
You see, the issue of cutting costs of governance, if you remember, it's on this station, sister station. I said it's just a high blood pressure of the certain rhetorics. Because even when you look at the cars, they are supposed to be bulletproof cars. I always question, why do you have to buy a bulletproof car for a legislator? What is he afraid of? You don't need a bulletproof vehicle. Now he's talking of prayers, sending prayers to the mailboxes. So these people are not there in the only. And on the issue of Nigerians, what do you expect Nigerians to do? The only way Nigerians are going to respond is through protest or violence. Because we have leaders who have deaf ears. They are not bothered about it. They are insensitive to your plight. Whatever your somebody leeching on you, he's doing it deliberately. He's not bothered about how you feel. Your welfare is not important. The leaders are leeching on Nigerians. That's what they're doing. They tell you to tighten your seatbelt while they're losing their seatbelts. So if you say, what will Nigerians do? The only way, and it's going to be a spontaneous reaction. This kind of leadership, this cataclysmic leadership we're having, is what led to the coup in Niger. And Nigerians, the Bola Tinubu and co, and all these ECOWAS leaders who are averse to the coup, are not averse to the coup because they are Democrats, because I strongly believe these are democratic hidings. They are not averse because they are Democrats. They are averse to the coup because they might also fall victims when you consider their style of leadership. So the only way, you have just two ways. One is what people will criticize when you see on air, which just happened in Niger, which is the coup. And the next one will be a violent demonstration, just had in EndSARS. And that definitely is going to happen. We are going to have a ring. In fact, the SARS is going to be a dress rehearsal because Nigerians are seared in the flame of economic conflagration. We can hardly feed. Fathers these days are no longer respected by their kids anymore or by their wives anymore, which is a fact because you cannot be alive to your responsibilities given the grinding economic situation. You cannot. And so they go out and also fend for themselves. Parents can no longer pay school fees. But these ones are still sending their kids abroad, paying in dollars. So the only
in the presidency. Can you explain further what exactly that might be about? Because we spoke with a guest yesterday who said that it was mostly because of DSS revelations and DSS report on him. But you're saying it's beyond the DSS report on him, that it might be persons in the presidency. So share a little bit more about what internal politics might be playing out here.
Yes, why I strongly believe the issue of the DSS to me is just a specious reason. Specious as in SPECIOUS. Tell me how a president, a state president, will nominate somebody on the national. It has never happened. Even when you have the DSS, look at Magu and so. Even when you have the DSS reports, they were all dismissed by both the National Assembly and the president. Once the president dismisses a report, it's been dismissed by even the National Assembly. So I strongly believe that this goes beyond the reports, the so-called reports from the DSS. It has to do with politics in the national role, where certain persons probably are not comfortable with Nasir El-Rufai, because even as a governor, he failed. Nasir El-Rufai only excelled as a minister of the Federal Capital Territory. As a governor, he failed. We had so much maniacal segregation and change discrimination in his government. It's of the Christians and the Muslims. Even his style of governance, he was too arrogant. Then also listen to his statements. They were quite incendiary, quite inflammatory. He's a religious bigot, no doubt about that. Somebody who's religious, he doesn't bother about what you think and how you feel. They say he says his mind, but in saying your mind, they say in choosing your words, for all words are in a basket. If you have to choose, you choose the right word from the basket. So as a leader, you must be circumspect, but he wasn't as a governor. As a minister, he performed perfectly, but as a governor, he failed with me. So I believe that there are certain persons who probably would have offended as a governor, or certain persons who felt that bringing Nasir El-Rufai on board was going to change the administration. It might impact negatively on the reputation of already damaged Bola Ahmed Tinubu's government. And so that's my view now. That's my view. I'm not saying it's a NewsCentral view.
I understand. I just want that we clarify that. But at the same time, it might be a little harsh. I'm not sure if you think so, to call the former governor of Kaduna State a religious bigot. Might be really harsh.
No. Who's a religious bigot? No, he's not. He doesn't hide it. His videos, everything. He didn't hide it. And your actions will speak louder than your words. He didn't hide it. That's the truth about it. So it's not. I'm not saying what he didn't do. We all listen to his videos and everything. Even the last one, he spoke in Hausa language. when he was addressing the Muslim community. He didn't hide it. When he said the Muslims will rule and so on, he didn't hide all those things. When he said it was all orchestrated to ensure that the Muslim succeeded, he didn't hide it. But what do you call such a person?
All right, Inko, we certainly will love to have you again. It's always a delight to have you. We'll have more conversations about this, and we're just going to keep observing the terrain to see what happens with Nigeria's new cabinet. Thank you very much for your time this morning.
Thank you very much, Oliver and Osa.
Right. Still here in Nigeria, let's talk about what's been happening in the Senate. Nigerians have criticized Senate President Godswill Akpabio after he revealed that senators have been sent money to enable them enjoy their recess. In a video that went viral on Wednesday morning, Akpabio was heard saying the clerk of the National Assembly has disbursed funds to all senators to enable them to enjoy their holiday. Now, take a look at this video, and when we come back, we'll speak some more about it.
As soon as Senator Umahi takes his oath of office, we shall rearrange the office of the leadership. I withdraw that statement. In order to allow you to enjoy your holiday, the Senate President has sent prayers to your mailboxes. I sent prayers to your mailboxes to assist you to go on a safe journey and return. This Senate.
There is the video that has caused so much reactions, not just on social media space and in different circles. Everyone's been talking about it. First of all, there have been questions as to whether he was aware of the fact that it was being aired on live TV, and the fact that what he was saying was being aired on live TV. Several reactions have come to the light, one of which has been conversations as to how much exactly do these senators earn, because it would seem that a number of this kind of conversations are shrouded in secrecy. So can we actually say how much they earn? So they're going on recess to reconvene on the 26th of September. And now, by the kind of gesture of the Senate President, we've been informed that they have been given allowances to enjoy their holidays, whilst Nigerians are grappling with the effect of the rising cost of living, rising because every day the prices are changing. People are struggling to make ends meet. Salaries are being owed. Minimum wage conversation is still one that is in the works. There's still talks of strike, impending strikes, yet we're having money being disbursed for their enjoyment.
I think it would also be, important to know tax. And I said earlier that I think it's majorly because Godswill Akpabio is still getting a hold of, the environment. As Senate President, he hasn't spent that much time there, and so
to understand
still,
that a lot of the things they do there,
should be done in secret. You shouldn't say that when the cameras
but
are
it's for the
still
benefit of the Nigerian people that we get to know exactly what's happening. And I want to say, we want to delve even further into the conversation this morning. We're joined by Fred Nzako. He's a lawyer, development economist, administrator, and public affairs analyst. Good morning, and thank you very much for joining us.
Good morning. Good morning to our dear listeners and viewers, and glad to be with you.
All right, so let's get into it. You've seen the video. What are your thoughts about the video?
Well, I don't think there is anything untoward about that video. And my immediate reaction to it is that we don't need to live in denial of the obvious facts. We don't need to also behave like the ostrich, hide our head, and the rest of our body is outside. We don't need to even begin to make a hula baloo out of a matter that is very obvious. We have a budget for the National Assembly, appropriated and to be carried out as an independent arm of government, as a tier of government. We, as a very important aspect of government, we have their budget, we have their appropriation, and we don't spend the money for them. They spend their money the way and manner they deem fit. What Senator Badio did was not out of the ordinary. I guess he was only trying to be a good man and give an impression that he has the back of his members, of the senators, having sacrificed their leave, having adjusted their timetable for their leave to sit back and conduct a very important national assignment, which was the ministerial screening. And then in trying to massage their emotions, he kind of made a statement that Nigerians consider that he let the cat out of the bag. And he now told them that the clerk of the house will send tokens to the accounts for them to enjoy the vacation. Of course, we knew that while they're going on vacation, money will be sent to them. Or are we going to claim that we don't know? And of course, money has been sent to them even while they were sitting. So why was that one raising some dust? Simply because his members felt, oh, we have other people who are not senators. We have observers in the gallery. We have journalists here. This is beamed on national television. So why are you making such statements? But I think it's just a statement of fact. He did not open the lid. We knew it. And of course, like I said earlier, the budget of National Assembly hovers around 150 billion. And once that is a budget and it is approved, the next thing is there, and it is appropriated, the next thing is to be implementation. So I'm even surprised that Nigerians are raising dust about this.
So let me understand.
Emotionalism.
Yeah, let me understand. You know what your views are. Are you saying that the National Assembly, seeing that it has hundreds of, more than 100 billion, naira budget, is free to at any time, and under any circumstances, decide, to take any amount, any part of that money and just share among themselves for any, reason that they deem fit. If they decide that they're going on holidays and they all deserve, for example, 20 million naira each to spend on that holiday, they can take it from that budget and just share it. If they decide that, they've worked too hard in the last 2 weeks and, everyone has been stressed, so to calm their nerves and to make them feel better, let's share, 2 million naira each. Is that the picture that you're painting here, that there's nothing wrong with it? There's already a budget that has been prepared, and it's not shocking news or shouldn't be breaking news that they are sharing that money. Is that what your point is?
What I'm saying is that we don't determine for them. Once the money is within the budget and within the appropriation, how they implement it does not lie in the hands of the public. How they implement it lies between the National Assembly management and functionaries.
Yeah, I get that. It's not
it was already programmed. Yes, it was already programmed. You only made that statement. You only made that statement just as a comrade, more or less.
Okay.
I don't think there's anything untoward about it.
So if we were to go by,
if it is in their budget, that is all that we should worry about.
if we were to go by what you're saying, is there some level? Is there possibly, if we were to go by what you're saying, should we then maybe consider that maybe some level of emotional intelligence should have been applied? seeing how now is quite a sensitive time for Nigerians and people are complaining and suffering, not just complaining, people are actually suffering. It's been a really rough time, the hardest time Nigeria has ever seen, it would seem. Shouldn't there maybe have been some sort of emotional intelligence that would then afford that such conversations maybe not be brought to the public? In this case, yes, it might have been a mistake, but are Nigerians wrong for feeling offended at this point with all that they're going through and hearing that, you know, some others have access to money, people who they put there, who they employed to be there to represent them?
Why are you feeling offended that they are spending the money? Why are you feeling offended that they are spending the money that you appropriated for them to spend? This line is breaking, but I just hope you...
We can hear you. Go ahead. We can hear you. Please go ahead.
Drift. Why will Nigerians feel offended if they are spending the money that you, as Nigerians, appropriated for them and allow them to spend? Why are Nigerians, or do Nigerians want to tell me that they don't know that they spend money? So what's the whole essence of feeling offended because they announced it? I think the fact is that we need to be realistic in all we do. And we need to come up to the reality that if we don't want a bicameral legislature, we come out and push for it. If we don't want legislature to be on full-time basis and we want it part-time, we come out and push for it. And we cannot continue to be relying on sentiments and emotions. You appropriate money for somebody, and when he now starts spending the money, you now start feeling offended.
Mr. Nzako, this is where the challenge is.
What's the essence of the offense?
Yeah, but I think this is where the challenge is, and it's where we probably need to seek clarity. You already mentioned it, that we need to seek clarity on whether those funds, and of course, whether it is normal that they get allowances each time they're going on recess. Because, you know, if it is expected that every time they're going on recess that they get allowances, then of course there's no issue here. Nobody should be bothered. But, you know, if the picture that you're painting now is that as long as you've appropriated money for them, they are free to do with the money whatever they choose to do, which I don't think a lot of Nigerians would agree, regardless of how it is painted. Because the reason behind a budget, you don't budget, you know, 100 billion naira as miscellaneous, or as, okay, we just have 100 billion naira here. Anytime we choose to use it, we'll spend it on whatever the hell we choose to spend it on. There's a reason that the budget is drawn. The budget is drawn for salaries, it's drawn for running, you know, an office, is drawn for buying diesel, is drawn for these different things, and it is all created in that budget. And so if you have freedom to randomly just choose to share money amongst yourselves, then there's something wrong. Don't you see where the problem is? And
you are the one giving it that interpretation. You are the one giving it the interpretation of random sharing. It may as well be part of their sitting allowance that he was mentioning, right? And of course, what we should be pushing for is what we call the glasnost and the perestroika of the Soviet Union then, where things and the government is run openly and not in opaque structure. As we speak, we don't know how much our legislators earn at the federal and state level. As we speak, we don't know how much our ministers and other top government officials they earn, and our commissioners, we don't know how much they earn. Everything is shrouded in secrecy. Nigerians should start pushing that government should be run openly, so that if you are coming to government, you know what you are coming here to do, and not to pick and choose the one to get offended with and the one not to get offended with. It was only Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala that when she was minister that started publishing the allocation given to states and local government. No other minister and no other government has ever done that. She started publishing it because she brought international best practices to bear in the finances of the federation. And she insisted that she will publish the allocation of the state and local government on a monthly basis. When she left office, have you ever seen such publication anymore?
Absolutely not. You know, and I agree that Nigerians need to ask questions and seek clarity as to how you know, funds are spent in you know, both in the National Assembly, on the local government level, on the state level, on every level.
All of that should stop being shrouded in secrecy.
There has to be, you know, the veil of secrecy needs to be taken off completely. I think we've broken the connection or lost connection with Fred and Zaka there, but this is a trending conversation here in Nigeria, and of course, you may want to check your social media, pages and see what Nigerians are saying about the Senate president making that statement. And of course, the questions really would be, if there was nothing wrong with it, then why did he take back the statement? Why did he say?
Well, maybe that's the part where emotional intelligence kicked in and he realized that the people of
Doing
Nigeria
something
are
wrong and
suffering.
doing something wrong.
And then,
Emotional intelligence is different.
in all of this is a reminder again, yet, that we need to find out how much they earn, and their earnings need to stop being shrouded in secrecy because they are public servants. We put them in there. Right? We've come to the end of today's show. Thank you so much for joining us. Let's share with you what's happening later today on News Central.
Beyond the Continent comes your way at 1 p.m. West African time.
Report Desk Africa, 5 p.m. West African time.
And much later, Nigeria Tonight at 10 p.m. West African time. This is where we say goodbye. Thank you very much for spending your Thursday morning with us, and we hope that you enjoyed the conversations that we've had. We apologize for those slight glitches here and there all through in some parts of the show. Do not bother refreshing your emails. You will not be getting any prayers from the National Assembly. You are not a member of the National Assembly. That is not part of the things that the average Nigerians get entitled to.
Well,
we're sorry.
Since we won't be getting prayers, I will be giving my own prayers, and I hope that Nigerians can get through this tough time, that government prioritizes us, and the best is yet to come. This is sincerely our hope. Sending all my best wishes to the Okonjis and to Cherish Okonta, who turns a year older today. Until we come your way again, thank you very much for joining us. We'll see you. My name is Olive Emodi.
And I am Osaogi Ogbawa.
Have a wonderful day.
Africa is rising. Again, we hear our sounds echo on the other side. Afrobeat and Afropop reinvented, hip life brought back to life, new energy infused into Kwaito and Kwela. Africa is balling. Every stroke, every shot, every raise, we find our place at the top. Taking the helm of real power, new hopes for democracies. A breed of entrepreneurial tigers, audacious storytellers, and a promising generation raring to go. Truly, Africa is rising. And this is where the stories that define our continent live. Africa needs its own storytellers, people who understand the continent because they're from it. People who know that news is more than just a conversation starter, it's our stories. Because these stories run deeper than headlines and segments. It's about digging deeper to get the facts and telling the human side of every single story, not just the echoes from foreign headlines and perspectives. It's time to take back our narratives and share them in our voices. The birth of Africa's New Age reporting, and this is where it begins, right here at NewsCentral TV, with stories that put Africa first.
NewsCentral TV, Africa's #1 storyteller, has come with the best of both worlds. With a combination of news app and live TV, we ensure that you keep track of the latest headlines, breaking news, and in-depth analysis from professional journalists from around the continent. Download the NewsCentral TV app on Android and iOS and get started today. Don't forget to follow us on NewsCentral's social media platforms. NewsCentral, Africa First. NewsCentral TV, Africa's #1 storyteller, has come with the best of both worlds. With a combination of news app and live TV, we ensure that you keep track of the latest headlines, breaking news, and in-depth analysis from professional journalists from around the continent. Download the NewsCentral TV app on Android and iOS and get started today. Don't forget to follow us on NewsCentral's social media platforms. NewsCentral, Africa First.
Hello and welcome to News Central Now. I am Osaogi Ogbonwa. News Central Now begins in West Africa, where female deputy governors in Nigeria have called on government to invest more in the nation's basic education sector as a springboard for Nigeria's development. This was as they visited the First Lady of Nigeria, expressing worry over the nation's poor human capacity development index. They said this is because the government has not made enough investment in Nigeria's basic education sector.
Our human capacity development indices are still disappointing. As mothers and politicians, we all agree that the future of our country is dependent on the investment we make in our children. To ensure that future generations of Nigerians are healthy, educated, and productive, the health and nutrition of under fives, the quality of compulsory basic education for our children, and skills acquisition and empowerment for our youth must be a priority. We come before you as representatives of the female deputy governors in Nigeria, united in our determination to contribute our own quota to building a better Nigeria. However, as women in politics, we also have an additional responsibility to advocate for women's empowerment and gender equality in our beloved nation.
Meanwhile, the wife of Nigeria's President Oluremi Tinubu has expressed appreciation to Germany for its various interventions in the West African country, especially in areas of humanitarian assistance in conflict areas. She said the mutual and beneficial relationship so far enjoyed by the two countries is commendable, and she looks forward to a more rewarding partnership. The First Lady emphasized that Nigeria needs a lot of help to cushion the effect of the subsidy removal on women, especially, and of course, Nigerians in general. The German ambassador to Nigeria, Annette Gunther, highlighted some of the areas of intervention by her country in Nigeria. Also in the news, Nigeria's premier university, the University of Ibadan in the western part of the country, and the government of Borno State, northeast Nigeria, have taken a significant step towards strengthening their partnerships for the development of the tertiary education in the country. These were part of deliberations during a visit by the management team of the university to honor Borno State Governor as its ambassador for the forthcoming 75th anniversary of the institution. Umaru Kirawa completes this report.
The educational sector in Borno State has been experiencing setbacks in recent times. This is the pace of infrastructure and many schools in the hinterland communities in Borno State and the newly established state university. The killings of teachers during Boko Haram crisis is one among many problems the government is battling to address. The visit to the government house Maiduguri by the management team of University of Ibadan, led by the Vice Chancellor Professor Kayode Adebowale, is to strengthen ties and improve the education sector.
We shall continue to partner with you. We shall continue to collaborate with you with a view to repositioning our fragile educational sector. We need to work hard in order to reposition the education sector in Nigeria. We want to see how we can partner together, especially in the areas of staff development between the University of Maiduguri and State University and the University of Ibadan.
Professor Zulum emphasized the important role education plays in transforming societies and highlighted the need for collaboration between the University of Ibadan and the Borno State University, a thought the August visitor agreed with.
As part of our tradition of excellence, we have recommended the University of Ibadan at 75th Anniversary Committee has recommended and management has approved that Your Excellency be designated as a UI at 75 ambassador.
The decoration of Professor Babagana Zulum as ambassador of the University of Ibadan is to attract funds for key projects in the institution.
The first of the 5 projects is to have an endowment fund of 100 billion naira. The second one is infrastructure development. consisting of the building of smart classrooms, laboratories, and lecture areas.
Both the university and the state government share a common goal of advancing education, research, and development in Nigeria. Umaru Kirawa, reporting for NewsCentral TV, Maiduguri.
And still in the news, the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Taoreed Lagbaja, has assured Nigerian doctors abroad willing to return to the country that the Nigerian Army is ready to absorb them into its military hospitals. Lagbaja gave this assurance while receiving Abike Dabiri Erewa, the Chairman, CEO, Nigerians in Diaspora Commission, NIDCOM, and top management of the commission at the Army headquarters, Abuja. The Chief of Army Staff said the Army will collaborate fully with NIDCOM's advocacy of bringing back home the best brains from the diaspora to help develop our various sectors in the country. He said having been in the diaspora before now, he noticed that Nigeria parades the best doctors in the UK, US, Canada, and South Africa, and the Army under his command will be willing to employ them if they return home, thus reducing the scourge of brain drain.
And one of the things we try to do is celebrate the best of ourselves. Our story is not about drugs or crime or 419 fraud. Our story is about the fact that Nigerians are the most intelligent, most brilliant, most educated immigrants anywhere in the world. And the joy of it that a lot of them are in the military. A lot of them are Nigerians to be proud of. And we also know that when we go abroad, where you have our military engaging in operations abroad, they excel. They are simply the best. So we should celebrate that, and we should celebrate ourselves. And even in courses that you do abroad, our military personnel turn out to be the very best. So we are here to say that we want to work with you, celebrate the best of ourselves, also have an interaction with our Nigerian, the Nigerian Americans, Nigerians, and other nationalities, but they will be willing to engage with you, share ideas, share information, and see whether there's any way they can add value to what you're.
And the Resource Center for Human Rights and Civic Education has called for constitutional and legal reforms to help address the marginalization and exclusion being faced by original inhabitants of Abuja in Nigeria's political space. The executive director of the center, while commending Nigeria's government for nominating an original inhabitant of the federal capital as a part of those nominated as ministers designate by the federal government, says there is a need to provide more seats for the inhabitants of the FCT in Nigeria's parliament.
It remains an anomaly that while other Nigerians have the right to vote and elect governors and members of the State House of Assembly, FCT original inhabitants are denied this same right. Added to this is the imbalance in the number of legislative seats provided for the indigenous peoples in the FCT. As it stands, FCT remains in the incongruous and unacceptable situation of having only one Senate seat and 2 House of Rep seats, while other states, even those with less population than the FCT, have 3 Senate seats and scores of House of Representative members. The indigenous peoples in the FCT need sincere and far-reaching constitutional and legal reforms, which would address the structural imbalances at the heart of their marginalization and the exclusion from critical governance structures.
It's our bounden duty to stand firm in support of this other democracy, particularly those that require constitutional amendment. We should not let loose or let off our guard simply by disappointment. It will be important to ensure a guarantee that from now on, that will be taken into account.
Now, staying in Nigeria's southeast, commercial drivers operating from Osisioma to Umuahia in Abia State have raised alarm over what they call illegal collection of levies by one Ephraim Tochi. The protesting drivers marched to the government house, Umuahia, where they laid their complaints to the deputy governor, Ikechukwu Emetu. They are disturbed that despite the ban of all levies on traders, artisans, drivers, among others, the said Ephraim has continued to make life difficult for them. The Deputy Governor assured the drivers that government will handle the situation to finally resolve the problems of illegal levies.
There is still existence of this thought in Osama. We want to find out if Tochi and his gang is more than the government.
The present government of the state, we have zero tolerance to touting in any form or extortion. Your message has been well delivered, and you should be assured that the governor of this state will be duly informed and actions will be taken immediately.
Still in the news, the original inhabitants of Abuja converged in Nigeria's capital on Wednesday. Some of them called on Nigeria's government to address the challenges of marginalization, non-inclusion, and deprivation, affecting the FCT's original inhabitants. Our correspondent Michael DBA reports.
The International Day for the Recognition of Indigenous People is observed on August the 9th every year, as youths from the Federal Capital Territory converge in the nation's capital Abuja to mark the global day. It was all dance and colors as they showcased their unique culture. Representing the various ethnic communities and groups within the Federal Capital, the sounds of the drums and steps of the dancers tell their unique history. Some of the youths, while speaking to newsmen, used the opportunity to highlight challenges affecting the regional inhabitants of the Federal Capital. They say they want government to come to their aid and help address these challenges.
When this comes like this, we have been setting back. So we cry to the government, we feel like petition to the government to help us to help us, particularly in this government. We have for them to make sure the employment like
also the FCT original inhabitants to give them a sense of belonging.
They what for being out there at the center of Nigeria. Also say the land possibly taken from should be equally covered and remaining one plenty experience where I now how their aspirations been met, what kind of environment do they live in. This has been the concern of the nation.
Despite the dance and the call to stay in the law has been a restricted to ensure the Michael reports from this.
The reporter is to Central now. Coming up, Zambian opposition figure said he was in for details break.
breaking news, in-depth analysis, journalists from around the continent. Download the Central TV app on Android OS and get started today. News Central social media platform. News Central, Africa first.
Continues in southern the National Union of Metal Workers South Africa, NUMS, says, and for President Dr. Fred Mimbe, the of the Social Party of Zambia, Trump for the President detained Zambia's he has since been released. Previously, NUMSA had issued a statement warning the Zambian government for the planning charged to intimidate and silence him and stop his political activities. The Zambian police had initially charged Mimbe with the offense of libel as influence colonial penal code 87 of the laws of Zambia. And joining me on to discuss this issue is a NUMSA spokesperson, Camille Majola. Good morning. Thanks for joining us.
And good morning to your viewers. Thank you for having me.
Help clarify what NUMSA's stance is on this recent arrest of Fred Mimbe. And the first place has a, share both of those questions.
First of all, NUMSA is an internationalist, Marxist, borders of what country you come from, and we have a history of working transformations in Zambia, the Socialist Party of Zambia, the refrain of and it is our duty to point out any kind of oppression that's happening across the world. We will, as a trade union, we've even launched campaigns, for example, to free people like Mumi Abu Jamal, who's an American political prisoner. Launched campaigns on the supporting strike, which you see the biggest federation in Ghana was planning. So there's nothing surprising about NUMSA calling out the administration of Chema for its abuse.
As a like I said, if it says, if it is said in Section 191 of Zambia, famous war code, isn't that
but they have a view that it's very serious what the government of Zambia is doing. That's against the backdrop of systematic attack opposition that has been taking place in Zambia. South Africa, Mr. Mwamba was actually appointed to take and the campaign in 2017 when he launched the campaign for police who arrested him on top charges, and we are petition on meeting up at that president. Now president the same tactic position leaders. There is justification making that firstly. Secondly, the state in general, very clear that their is that they have fears that the of Zambia is planning some kind of insurrection just because the party of Zambia may have expressed some kind of, I suppose, with what's happening in East Africa.
We did have a conversation this week. It was interesting to see the stance of Noon. We may not have time, if possible, we would like to us tomorrow or sometime next. Okay, I've got a trying to take part in. Very much for your time. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
All right, well. And that's all at this time. Send your eyewitness report. And social media. We are Central TV. Open up on the Play Store. Central live on channel 4274, Avo TV.
তারা যেটা